Genesis 2 is what God did in the beginning, and Genesis 1 is how God did it. But Genesis 1 is very, very interesting because time only started on day 4. So there's a time of the beginning that we do not know nothing about. And Jesus is compared to wisdom that was formed right from that beginning. So it's right when we read John 1, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. This is actually describing, the Afrikaans has a nice word, it says voortyd, it's pre-time, because time only started on day 4. But let's go to Genesis 2, where God planted the garden eastward in Eden. And Genesis 2 verse 1 says, these are the 6 days God created the heavens and the earth. He rested, He blessed it, He sanctified the 7th day. And then Genesis 2 verse 4, these are the generations in the day that God created the heavens and the earth. Please note it. It's like a seed with a DNA inside, a guarantee that everything will come out what God intended it to be. God's purposes was settled in the heavens from the beginning, and no one is going to change it. And if we can understand the generations, it is amazing, because Adam and Eve was placed in this perfect realm, the garden eastward in Eden, and they messed up. It was total disobedience. It says Eve was deceived, but Adam was disobedient. This is why when God came to restore what was lost there, He became obedient unto death. Because what they actually did is they wanted to grab for life in their own sense. This is why the whole Bible is permeated with this spirit of, I will uplift myself. In Habakkuk, he says, the mind that is, the heart that is upright in himself, I have no pleasure in it. And this is the Antichrist spirit from the beginning. If you eat, you'll be like God. Please, they were like God. And every time anybody wanted to lift themselves up, they were brought down. The king Nebuchadnezzar, he became like an animal. The biggest worldly king that ever was went for 7 years like an animal. Then he says, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ. He that was equal with God thought it no robbery to come down. Humble yourself in the sight of God, and He will lift you up. Our problem is we're fighting for life. We want to do it, we want to do it, we want to do it. The only thing you can do for God is be obedient. In the garden, they had to eat from the tree, and amazingly, He said, the fruit of it will be your meat. We have to understand the spirit language. When Jesus came, He said, my meat is to do the will of the Father. So they could not eat any more of that meat being the will of the Father. They messed it up. Now they had to dig the earth for bread. But in Moses, the one that wrote the book, he says, God is going to rain down bread. And when Jesus came, He says, I am the bread that rain down from heaven. So we cannot read this as separate stories. After He said in Genesis 2 verse 4, these are the generations in a day. Generations. He sort of takes us back to the generations, and He mixes up the generations and the day. Because He says, before there were trees. Wow. When was vegetation made? The 3rd day. Okay? But I want you to just get it there in the back of your mind that David came and he said, I am a tree planted by the river. Now, if you go to the generation, the genealogy line of Jesus Christ, He says in Matthew 1, Jesus, son of David, son of Abraham. Now, we have to understand that Abraham was the father of faith. Something new started there. It's literally a new world that carried the shadow of the good things from the heavens and the good things to come, which is Christ. But this was only played out in Moses, who wrote Genesis. And we see the fathers was Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then came Joseph. And he had a dream where the sun and the moon and the stars bowed before him, which was a picture of Israel. Because Jacob said, the father and the mother and the brothers, you think they're going to bow before you? So this is what resembled the second world which Moses ushered in. Now this was a pattern unto Christ, which was a schoolmaster unto Christ. But when Christ came to his own, when God, that was before time, in the beginning, when he came to the earth, his own received him not. The very people that foreshadowed the Christ now crucified him. He came and he said, you serpent seed, you vipers. Now we have to understand these things because they were totally infiltrated with Satan's seed. Why? Because when Adam and Eve missed it in the garden, God said there will be a battle for seed between the woman's seed and Satan's seed. The woman doesn't carry seed. So God was putting his guarantees in line that he's going to do on this earth that has to be done to bring us back to his original purpose, because the end is determined from the beginning. Voila, is this not good? Now, it is like, to really understand this, you have to take the whole Bible in consideration. You can't just read here, read there, and this is what we do. We read the Bible like a children's Bible full of stories. You know, today Moses is going through the Red Sea. Tomorrow Jesus walks on the water, and then he feeds the people. Then Samson, then Gideon, then this one. No, it's all the same story. And we have to understand from beginning to end that it's progressions towards perfection. I love this. Now in Hebrews 10:14, he says, he has forever perfected those he loved. And then the same book, Hebrews 6, he says, let's go on to perfection. So what God did in sending his son and Jesus dying, he has placed that seed into the earth to start a garden. You're the garden. We're back in the garden, guys. We've got to grow. We've got to bear fruit. So we have to understand the beginning to even understand the end. So when you are messed up in the times, you are never going to reach your purpose and your destiny here. But when God has placed his spirit on it, he sealed it. And nothing can separate us and take it away. Only you can if you literally deny the Christ. But he loves you. He loved the world that all who believe in him will not perish but have everlasting life. They have life, but they're not going to have it here. You're not going to step into the kingdom here. To see the kingdom here, you have to be born again. To enter the kingdom, you have to be born into his death. To possess the kingdom, you have to die to your own will.